Pete, where'd you get that?
I got here at the office at about 3:30 this afternoon. I flew back in, flight got in about 2 o'clock here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He called me this afternoon and said that he signed this and it wasn't.
Must be 7 o'clock.
Just
Ready?
what?
Okay. that's good
Everybody
to know.
ready?
So that was it.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mayor.
Thank everyone for coming this evening. This is Nashville Town Council meeting. It's our agenda meeting. It's Wednesday, September 26th. And for the record, the time is 7 o'clock. We have 2 items of business tonight and 1 report, which we'll move along as rapidly as we can. We have the first item we need to do is a public hearing, so the chair will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So
So
made.
It's been moved and
I'll second
seconded that we go into public hearings. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
that. Yes.
Opposed, no. Accordingly, we're at public hearing. Purpose of this public hearing is to receive comments on the street and special events permit application for the Children's Christmas Parade sponsored by the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. This is sort of an ordinary thing that continues from year to year with the standard application. However, there were some discrepancies put in here, if you notice, in reading this thing from the Technical Review Committee, where the people requesting this requested closing Washington Street from Barnes Street all the way down to First Street. But in the past, they have closed only from Barnes Street down to Alston Street, from the Faith Christian Place to the CVS. So they recommended that they do the same thing this year as they've done in the past, with just the 3 blocks there instead of the whole street. Okay, is there anyone from the general public who has anything to say for or against this issue? If you do, would you please come to the podium and state your name and address, please?
My name is Jeff Dotson. I'm with the Chamber, and I'm in charge of the Christmas Parade. Mr. Mayor, that is correct, just to Austin Street. I guess it was a mistake to go up to First Street. I don't know how that got in there, but we don't need to go up to First Street, just from the Faith Christian store, like you said, all the way up to where the CVS meets. The fire truck kind of comes around the Nash Arts Center there, but usually we have that area well protected, so just that general area. Usually the street closes about 2. Last year I thought that was maybe a little too early. In fact, we actually had some cars like pass through the cones. So I think we can have everything set up within probably an hour and a half. So the streets probably don't need to close until 2:30, probably 2:30.
We
Be
just
fine.
work this out with the chief so they'll know when to pull the barricades over.
Okay.
But your request is to start at 2 o'clock, but you can start any time after that you want
Okay.
to. Okay.
But the chamber just asked for the board's approval.
Okay, thank you very much. Other comments? Anyone on the council have any comments? Okay, there being none, we will recommend that this will move forward with the reviews then, and we'll pass judgment on it at our legislative session on Tuesday night. Okay, now we need to go out of public hearing into joint public hearings. Chair, hear a motion, we go out of public hearing?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded, we go out of public hearings. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Okay, accordingly, we're back in regular session. Now we need to move to our joint public hearing, which is a quasi-judicial thing, which is going to require a little more explanation as we move forward. But as a chair here, motion we go into joint public hearing with our planning board, which is over here on my left.
So made.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We go into joint public hearings. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate so by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Accordingly, we are in joint public hearing. This is to receive comments on special use request 2018-01 to allow for a pylon sign totaling 50 feet in overall height located on the property at 104 East Evans Drive. The property is zoned B1 General Business District and is identified as parcel number 3801144322221. Okay, those persons who are wishing to speak in this issue, as it is a quasi-judicial issue, has to sign our document, has to sign up for a special use permit hearing permission to speak, and come forward and be sworn. I'll explain that purpose in just a moment. And I have 3 names on that. If you'll come forward, and we can do this all collectively here. Everybody put a hand on there somewhere if you can. Put the left hand on here, right hand up. Okay.
Gotta get it right.
Yeah, use your other left.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Now, do you swear that the evidence you shall give this board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, consider yourself sworn then. Thank you. Okay, the witnesses having been sworn, you'll let the record indicate that. Let me explain the rules of a quasi-judicial issue as it is to be conducted very closely as possible to a court proceeding, as whatever is decided here, if there is any appeal or question, it can be appealed not back to this council or to the planning board, but it can be appealed only to Superior Court. So that's why we have to be very careful that we do this thing according to due process. The application for a special use permit requires an evidentiary hearing on the application, which will be heard by the council to act as a quasi-judicial board. And the purpose of the hearing is to gather legally acceptable evidence in order to establish sufficient facts to apply the applicable ordinance. The purpose is not to gather public opinion about the desirability of the project. Council should not discuss or receive information about the merits of the case from parties or members of the public before the hearing. All testimony before the council must be sworn testimony. All persons wishing to speak on this matter must be sworn in, but applicants may elect to be represented by legal counsel. And that moves on with other things. The staff will not provide a recommendation on denial or approval of the case until after the evidentiary hearing is closed. And all evidence must be presented and considered before a recommendation can be submitted. And after the hearing is closed, the staff will be prepared to make their recommendations to the board. Now, what we will do, the planning board will meet after we do. They will consider what has been said, and they will send the board, the council, a recommendation which we'll handle next Tuesday night, our legislative session, whatever it is. Now, the procedure for the hearing, there's a 2-hour time limit. At the conclusion of the 2-hour time limit, the council may take one of the following actions: to extend the time limit and continue with the public hearing, or table the item until the end of the meeting, at which time the hearing will continue, or refer the item to the next council agenda meeting, at which time the hearing will continue. I hope we don't go over 2 hours. And the procedure for this case will be as follows. Anybody who wants to speak at this quasi-judicial public hearing should sign in with the town clerk and be sworn in to speak, which has already happened. Okay, the hearing is open and preliminary matters are discussed. And then a staff representative will present a preliminary statement, which I'll call for in just a moment. And then the applicant is called on to present the argument evidence in support of what they want to say. And the council members may speak, the planning board and people may speak, general interest persons from the public may speak. Then there can also be rebuttal and questions going back and forth if we wish to. Okay, at that point in time, we'll close the public discussion and we'll work on deliberations. Now, the rules, all speakers should speak from the podium. The applicant should present their argument and evidence to show that the standards of the applicable ordinance have been met as concisely and efficiently as possible. Other speakers should endeavor to limit their testimony to 5 minutes. The mayor may extend this time limit if the speaker needs more time to present additional new evidence. And we just move on in a relevant way from that point on. And the issues we're trying to resolve is that all speakers, this is very important, all speakers should direct their testimony to the criteria that must be met for the particular application. For this special use permit approval, the criteria are: A, use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the plan as submitted and approved. And B, use meets all required conditions and specifications. And C, use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, or that the use is a public necessity. And D, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with the plan of development for the town. And then we have the voting and the issues, and if this gets approved, we've got to have reasons for that. If it gets denied, we've got to have reasons for that. And then we move forward with the rest of the process. Okay, the first item we need to do is call on our staff to present the preliminary statement of what the issues are involved and the regulations and requirements. Ms. Briggs, our planning director, will you please bring us up to speed on this?
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Will you speak a little closer to your microphone, please?
Microphone closer, is that
Excellent.
better? All right. So a restatement of a request for special use 2018-01. The request by the property owner to allow for a pylon sign totaling 50 feet in overall height located on the property at 104 East Evans Drive. The property is zoned B1, and the mayor has already read the parcel identification number into the minutes. The staff comments for this parcel and for this request is, first and foremost, this staff report and the agenda plus the attachments are to be entered into the record for this hearing. This property has an approved site plan and is currently under construction for a Burger King fast food restaurant. The application was completed by the owner and the application is completed correctly. Letters of public hearing notification were sent to the surrounding property owners on September 13th.
Is her microphone on?
The public hearing was advertised for 2 weeks prior to tonight's hearing in the Nashville Graphic. The property was posted with a public hearing sign on September 17th.
Julie, hold on a minute. We're not picking up your microphone.
Is it not at all?
It doesn't seem to be. We're not getting it on the TV, and we're not getting it, and I can't hear it from here.
Anything now? Ooh, that's a lot different.
Oh, much better now. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, would you like me to start over, or would you like me to pick up where I left
It'd
off?
probably be helpful, because all I heard was just bits and pieces of what you were saying.
All right.
And I'm sure everybody else had the same experience.
We'll consider that a dry run.
Okay,
All
thank
right, so tonight's request for special use 2018-01 is a request by property owner to allow for a pylon sign totaling 50 feet in overall height located on the property at 104 East Evans Drive. The property is zoned B1, which is general business, and the parcel ID number has already been read into the minutes. This staff report and the agenda plus attachments are to be entered into the record for this hearing. This property has an approved site plan and is currently under construction for a Burger King fast food restaurant. The application was completed by the owner. The application is completed correctly. Letters of public hearing notification were sent to the surrounding property owners on September 13th. The public hearing was advertised for 2 weeks prior to tonight's hearing in the Nashville Graphic. The property was posted with a public hearing sign on September 17th. The lot is 1.01 acres. As with any special use permit, the Planning Board and Town Council must consider the following. The use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the plan as submitted and approved. The use meets all required conditions and specifications. The use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, and the use is a public necessity. And the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with the plan and the development of the town. Section 18-114 states, in addition to the conditions specifically imposed in this subsection B, and such further conditions as the Town Council may deem reasonable and appropriate, special uses shall comply with the height, area, and parking regulations for the zone district in which they are located. Section 18-140, Note 3 states that in the B-1 zoning district with frontage on West Nashville Drive, Evans Drive, and East Evans Drive, Nash Crossing, that one freestanding extended height sign be allowed in lieu of the standard 12-foot sign as prescribed by the ordinance. This shall not exceed 30 feet in height and shall follow all other guidelines set forth in this ordinance for this district. The height is regulated by ordinances for both sides of town. Permitted special uses adds flexibility to developers. Where there are high standards of planning and design, certain property uses are allowed in districts where these uses would not otherwise be as acceptable. By means of controls exercised through the special use permit procedures, property uses which would otherwise be undesirable in certain districts can be developed to minimize any negative effects they may have on surrounding properties. The purpose of a special use is not to increase nonconformities, but to increase conformity with surrounding areas where a use might not otherwise be situated. The board may place additional restrictions or conditions as deemed necessary. An important limitation on imposing conditions is that the ordinance must provide authority and set a process to impose conditions. The ordinance must include standards the conditions will address. Substantial evidence in the record must support conditions actually imposed. Conditions that impose an exaction must be reasonably related and proportionate to the impact of the development. A condition cannot be imposed just because the council thinks it would be a good idea or because it is desired by the neighbors. Any condition that is imposed must be purposed to bring the permit into compliance with standards that are included in the ordinance. And all conditions must be based on meeting a relevant standard in the ordinance, and the conditions must reasonably relate to that standard. And that's the end of our staff report.
Okay. So with all that said, all the regulations explained, we'll now move forward to testimony. The second person on the list is Tina Price. Tina, would you like to say whatever you want to say, or?
I have added Tina to the list just in case I need backup.
Oh, she was your backup. Okay, okay. All right. The other person is Landon White. Mr. White, would you come to the podium, please, and identify yourself for the record?
Good evening, Landon White with Site Enhancement Services, located in South Bend, Indiana. Drove all the way out here to some warm weather, nice for a change. Here representing the Burger King on East Evans Drive. Would I be able to approach and provide some additional artwork?
Thank you.
I won't go into the particulars of what Ms. Spriggs read, and I won't take much time at all. I'd just like to present what we have found looking at this site. As a point of distribution on this highway, advance notification is paramount to the value of this location, both locally and regionally, as you can ask the owner who's here tonight as well. This sign and advance notification is important for that motorist to be able to make the proper navigational decisions to arrive at this site. I mean, both, again, locally and regionally, both within the town and both those traveling on US 64. Potential customers need to know this site exists in enough time to make their proper driving decisions as to not harm other motorists traveling US 64 by making erratic decisions. And due to the nature of this corridor and what you can see, what's proposed fits within the corridor. It's in harmony with what is out there. There are multiple signs that are similar in size and placement, so it fits, and it's not an egregious request. Both east and westbound traffic will have visibility due to the placement of the sign, so two signs wouldn't be necessary, as is the case with other locations in the corridor. Additionally, this site only has one point of access from Evans Drive off of Alston. Excuse me, is that
Washington.
off Washington? Excuse me, I apologize. And so, due to the the setback of the building, this sign provides also local navigational assistance for motorists in the area as well. Due to existing vegetation, as I was driving the site, looking around, trying to gather it all in because you get photos, but photos don't tell the whole story. Driving around, as you head towards the town center, the sign should not be visible due to the existing vegetation on the east side of the road, whereas some of the other signs that are in the corridor are still visible once you go up the hill. This sign, due to that existing vegetation, shouldn't be visible, shouldn't provide any visual clutter. And so if you go with me through this, on page 2, what we've showing here is based on some mathematic formulas, based on some visibility calculations. Because it's located off the highway, because what 10 to 15% of the motor or the traveling public is regional or not familiar with the area, and due to this being off US 64, that number is going to be inflated. And so the important group to make sure we meet their needs is that traveling public on US 64. The local public will know where the Burger King is located. They don't need this 50-foot sign, but who needs it is the regional traveling people. And so based on the visibility of the sign, 1,130 feet from the exit ramp is the necessary distance that motorists going 70 miles per hour on a multi-lane road will need in order to make those safe driving decisions. Now, you might be asking, is it completely legible from 1,000 feet away? No, you can't read the letters Burger King, but with a national brand like Burger King, there's a glance recognition that you can look and say, I know that logo from a distance. And so as you get closer, you have that advanced notification to get off the off-ramp and make your safe driving decisions. Page 3 emphasizes, as well as page 4, that there are several different signs within this location. You see on page 3 where it is marked on the site plan, or on the arrow, excuse me. There are several different signs that are 50 feet in the area, and ours is situated closer to the intersection, meets all the special use requirements than most of the other signs. Although I'm not commenting on their conformity or not, but I want to make sure that I'm emphasizing that we are situated in a location that the value is to advance notification. The value of this property is based on the advanced notification of motorists, the traveling public, being able to know where this site is located. The next page again emphasizes the multitude of freestanding signs that meet these requirements that are emphasized, and then beyond that is the specifications of the sign itself. 138 square feet. Section 115 -20 of the zoning ordinance allows for a freestanding sign with special use up to 100 feet, and we're not requesting that. It's not necessary. And looking at the site, trying to determine what would be the bare minimum, what would make this site most profitable for the owner, for the town. 50 feet is what we're proposing, because what's an easier pill to swallow? and so we're not asking for anything egregious. Rather, the proposed signs will fit within the corridor and allow this site to be competitive among its competitors and comparable competitors in the area. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have, anything you may need from me.
I have a question. Going back to this 1,100 feet you're talking about, the response time people have, will you have some type of service sign further up the road like you commonly find on interstates advertising services at interchange?
That I am unaware of. The owner might be able to speak to that, but I didn't handle that portion of the permitting procedure.
The reason I ask is when I travel a lot on interstates, as I'm headed towards interchanges and I'm getting hungry, I start looking at what's at the next interchange, and I see the little signs on the road about what's 2 miles down the road and what's coming up next, and then I make the decisions accordingly.
Absolutely.
And I was wondering if you're going to put that on there, because that's something you have to pay the DOT to do.
Correct. And that I can't speak to.
But that's not your thing.
No.
Okay. Anyway,
Above my pay grade, I think.
Anyway, I'd recommend, but I'd recommend you do that.
I have a quick question having to do with the same, the 1,100 rather, foot distance. What would 30 feet give you as far as visibility? How many feet would that give you for brand recognition to be able to get off the exit?
based on the vertical offset, I mean, kind of as you're driving, you're looking, and where signs or the height of a sign based on the vertical offset, how tall it is, you'd be reduced by about a third
Okay.
for your visibility.
Mayor, I'd like to add, I've driven that area most recently as of today. I approached that site from the east and from the west end. They put their signs up, and I have a question to the planning board. We have 3 signs down there that are of the same, appear to be of the same height. That would be Hardee's, McDonald's, and Bojangles. Now Zaxby's and Sheetz have those 12-foot signs. How tall are the signs that McDonald's and Hardee's have? How tall are they?
Sheetz has a 30-foot sign. Zaxby's has a 23-foot sign. And based on our best guess, because they were permitted so long ago before the ordinances were in place, we have Bojangles at about 80 feet and Hardee's and McDonald's between 55 and 60 feet.
Okay. Well, when I approached it from the west coming up, and there are 2 next exit signs after you pass the 64 business end coming from the west. And on both of those next exit signs, there are, on one of them that I know of, there is a vacant spot that the new Burger King could put their emblem or their signature there to let you know that it's coming up. Now, when I passed the next exit sign, I could look down the road, and at that particular point, couldn't see anybody's sign. When I could see the signs, if you look at the wood line here coming from the west, you will see all 3 of those signs almost at the very same time. Once you pass that little crest of the wood line, then you see all 3 signs. Now, based on the location of where Burger King will be located, because they are straight down the exit ramp, that's going to stand out to you. You got to look kind of to your right to see the rest of them, but you're looking directly at the Burger King side. And I guess what I'm getting at is I don't want their sign to be, not because of them, because I can't wait for it to open. I'm gonna eat a Whopper every week, no matter what. But I would not like for them to, or anybody else for that matter, to exceed what we already have there. And I think that regulation was put in for a reason. I wasn't on the council at the time, but I'm quite sure we had a reason for putting that height limitation there, whether one was grandfathered in or not. But I would like to see us stay within the guidelines that we've got and not to overshadow everybody else. And I think as long as they stayed in line with McDonald's and with Hardee's, if they could, that would be okay. But what I don't want to see is 1, 2, 3, and then one way up here. That's what I don't want to see, and I don't think that would hinder their business to conform with the rest of them whatsoever, because I drove it and looked at it to try to see, and I know where the building is, approximately where you're gonna put your sign, and I can see that sign quicker than I see anything else. Now, coming from the east side, coming back up, obviously you're gonna see that before you see the rest of it, because there's no obstructions of a wood line of anything whatsoever. So as long as we are in conformance with what's already there and doesn't exceed what our guideline says, I'd like to see it stay at that.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
I just was asking clarification. Conformity to the current McDonald's, Hardee's, Bojangles, is that what you are saying
Well, I
conformity to?
understand from what she just said, unless I misunderstood her, that Hardee's and Bojangles are pretty much like the same thing. Hardee's and McDonald's are pretty much the same level.
But they're
Bojangles has
both
got one that
55,
sticks up a little bit higher. Now, why that got to be higher, I don't know. But I would not want to exceed either one of those.
Correct, okay.
But I
It-
think
it
what
doesn't.
Julie was saying was that already exceeds what our current regs are.
Which one?
McDonald's and Hardee's, that
Already
they were
exceed.
done prior to, and so they're 55, 60 feet when we currently require 30, which is much less.
Yes,
Which is
the ordinance changed in 2007 and 2015.
Okay.
So in 2007 and 2015, the ordinances were changed to make both ends of town match, and that the site, the site sign height would be a maximum of 30 feet. But McDonald's, Bojangles, and Hardee's
Was already there.
were already up at that time, and they are grandfathered in. If something happens to those signs, they cannot put them back up at that height. So if something happens to those signs, they fall down, they want to change the sign, they will have to go to current ordinance standards, which would be the 30 feet.
Yeah.
So again, the Bojangles is about 80 feet, the Hardee's is, and the McDonald's is around 55 to 60 feet at our best guess at this time. I didn't climb up with them, take measure, and I'm not doing trigonometry to figure out the angles. We did try to pull files. Those are our best guesses at the height. The current court ordinances do state 30 feet.
Well,
The 2007 decision, you did say 2007. I couldn't remember the year, but I remember the event. What was happening, the signs were getting taller and taller and taller, and we had requests for things that just kept getting on up. The laser wash people wanted to put one down there, supposed to be 110 feet high. And they were just all out of control. And that's when we came back and considered everything and got it down to 30 feet. So, and she's right, if anything happens to these taller signs, they're coming back at 30 feet.
And I think you did mention too that Sheets and Zaxby's, which are our two newer to the area, do comply, where it's 23 feet and 30 feet.
Correct.
And not in the same business district, but across town where Walmart is, the Walmart sign, the Nashville Commons sign, and the Wendy's sign, they're all at 30 feet or less. So everything is coming in conformity with that. But anyway, this is a public hearing. The decision's got to be made later. You have other comments, sir? Anyone on the council want to?
I would like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
I just got through traveling 5,300 miles
Welcome home.
and glad to be back. But also, I will tell you that I understand what he's talking about the signage and the short stopping distance to get somewhere. Because most of what I did was interstate driving. And so the signage was higher. And most of them did have as Larry talked about, they had the placard on the blue sign like you referred to also.
Right.
So I understand what he's talking about, and if I was putting one in, I'd probably be the same way he is. I'd want to get more too.
Yeah.
But,
Well, a place like Utah, you can see a 10-foot sign for 40 miles.
No, what I saw were signs 100 and 110
Right.
feet tall along the Loves.
Yeah.
And you can see there's a long
See them for
way.
miles, yeah.
If I could elaborate on both of Mr. Taylor's points, as mentioned, when you're traveling from the west, you can kind of see on page 2, you pass that tree line, and yes, this proposed sign would be the first visible sign, but that still is not, technically your safe traveling distance to stopping distance. And so, while yes, the Burger King sign would be the first visible sign, it also would act as advance notification for other business as well. And I'm not here to promote other businesses, but it provides that advance notification that there is my exit. That's where my stopping point is, allowing the driver to make those decisions then.
So that tree line, once you come past it, you would not be able to see the Burger King sign if it was 30 feet?
Without doing the full visibility test, getting a crane out there and putting a board up there, I can't speak to yes or no. But I know that the McDonald's signs, I know that the Bojangles sign and Hardee's are prominent signs in the area, so.
Yeah. And before that, there was a Ford establishment down there where the Dollar General store is. They had a sign way up in the sky. It was really high, but they went out of business and went away, so the sign went with them. But that was before 2007. Okay, other comments, observations? Further comments, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If not, we'll turn this over to the planning board and let them work with it. Yes, Patsy?
Can I ask about the square footage that's proposed in relation to what the other signs are and what the ordinance allows?
You know, the ordinance has got a formula for it. It's got 1 square foot for every road foot, foot of road frontage you have.
The max would be 200 square feet for the sign.
So the max
Actual
would
sign.
be 200. Yeah.
proposes under 140, I think close to it, 138,
140.
140.
Other questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
All said and done, we'll refer this over to the planning board, and they will meet right after we do and send us a recommendation. The chair will entertain a motion to go out of joint public hearing.
So moved.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded, we go out of joint public hearing. Is there any discussion? If there being none, all in favor indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Accordingly, we're back in regular session. The next item we need is a municipal service district update, which I think Kate's gonna give us.
Yes.
Okay, could you bring us up to speed on that, Kate?
Okay, so we had a public hearing for the municipal service district on September 18th, which I think went very well. The planning department had sent 95 written notices on September 7th to all the property owners. There were 2 public hearing notices in the Nashville Graphic on the 6th and the 13th. And emails were sent out to all of the MSD emails that we have on file. Attendance was a little bit low, considering all the notices that went out, but we did receive very valuable feedback from those that did attend. Those in attendance were in agreement that new Christmas decorations were in order, that it needed to be ordered and displayed as soon as we can. There was general agreement that everyone wanted traditional and classic. Those were the 2 words that were said over and over again for the feel that they wanted downtown. There did seem to be general agreement that the poinsettia, which was displayed at a previous council meeting and is also currently on display downtown until tomorrow, that was a fan favorite. There were concerns that everyone had as far as an inconsistent look if we put up the old wreaths and the 2017 MSD decorations and the new MSD decorations all in the same area. So I think we're working on that, trying to find what we can put on Barn Street and other areas in the MSD so that we don't have 3 inconsistent decorations going at once. So just to go over what comments were there, as I said, the majority wanted traditional, classic, old-time Christmas look. Several people had mentioned a desire for white lights, especially on tree trunks and lower trees. There was a disagreement as to whether to go with 2 new decoration styles or just 1 style throughout town. So that will be a determination that needs to be made. Any white lights that we do use have to be warm white lights, not the cold LED lights that were used previously. It was also brought up that the town should consider to start budgeting items to rotate replacement of the old wreaths that run through the rest of town that are not in the municipal service district. And there were varying opinions as to whether we're moving this too fast or too slow. Whether we need to do a little bit more research or move forward and have something purchased by this Christmas. But it was agreed that we do need new Christmas decorations. So as I said, the 1 decoration that we do have as an example is up for everyone to see. It's being taken down tomorrow, so please go look at it. And we will need to make a determination at our next meeting as to whether we will allow the MSD to purchase the new Christmas decorations. And that is it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
When the one that's up now comes down tomorrow,
Yes.
will the second choice be put up? Or we just gonna have this?
I
and then
think
we got-
that Julie can speak to this more, but the representative that we spoke with only had the 1 available, and the purchase needs to be put in by October 8th, I think it was. And so, no, we will not see any more examples. I know this poinsettia was the smaller of the, at least top 2 that we were considering, the poinsettia and the tree. The tree would be larger, but this is the only one that we will see in person. And then there were a few other options, too, that we can discuss as far as more traditional looks. And I think Julie can probably speak to that, too, with what the representative had stated.
The representative said that if we wanted to go with garland, like a 2-tone garland with the sun-warm LED lights interspersed randomly and wrap around poles and do a red ribbon with that to keep with the color theme of the wreaths that we currently have and the poinsettia with the red and the green and the yellow in the center. He said he gave us a quick quote that night of about $150 for enough to wrap a pole. And so if we wanted to do like an alternating theme, he said he could give us a bigger quote for that. But anything we do will have to be ordered by the 8th. So if we want to go with new decorations for this year, we have to have a decision very quickly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, council comments. We'll move along quickly here, because I know everybody's waiting for the planning board to meet. But first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for working with us during the storm we just went by. Our police department, our fire department, and they were really on top of things. They started planning days ahead once it looked like we were going to get this thing, and started working together and did a lot of things in harmony. I was really pleased with the operation. I stayed in touch with it as close as I can. Pete was on top of it all the time, and thank you so much for being in touch with everything. But anyway, the storm moved away, and we dodged a bullet. The only real scary thing we had was those 2 events with near tornadoes. And we did have some damage from tornadoes in this town. I don't know whether you're aware of that or not, but it's a strange phenomenon happened that sucked flashing off roofs. I've heard about a half a dozen people around who lost flashing around vents and different things because including my house. So that's how I got hooked in on it, because roofers are reporting more and more of these things. So that thing was actually that close to us. So anyway, thanks everybody for everything. Chief, tell your people we appreciate it. And I wish the fire folks were here tonight, but they're somewhere else. Okay, so let's move on. Larry, got comments, sir?
Yes, I do. I got 3 things I want to touch bases with.
Okay.
You mentioned the tornado. We were blessed to miss the heart of the storm, because at one time we were right in the crosshairs of that storm coming to us, and when it took that slight turn, it really saved us. I happened to go downtown Wilmington today, and UNC Wilmington's campus was slated to open up the 4th, which I think is next week. And I heard them announce it, they have slid it back another week. To another week later. UNC Wilmington took a direct hit. That place looked like a disaster area when I rode through there today. You couldn't even get on campus because of tree clearing equipment stuff every which way, and I ran across a lot that had FEMA equipment staged to it. And I'm gonna tell you the truth, I'm not glad it was them, but I am glad it wasn't us. We did dodge a bullet, so we were blessed to be spared this time. But the police department and the fire department did all they could to try to make this town safe, even to the point of advising evacuation to one of our neighborhoods. And half the people did leave. The water didn't rise, but it's better to be safe than sorry. But they did everything they could, and it paid off. That meeting we had did pay off. But enough of the storm. I went to the Gateway Partnership meeting last week, and I talked to our representative that takes care of our business here in Nashville. And everybody knows that we've got the North Nashville Industrial Park out here. West Nashville Park. And the building's been sitting there it looks mighty lonesome sitting out there by itself with the grass growing and everything. But she shared with me that she has 3 potential tenants that are very serious about it. And everything at this point is on I'm not gonna say a nickname, but a name that they can reveal at this point. They can't tell the business's name. But we have a bluebird project, a drift project, and a plastic project. All 3 of them are indicating to her that they're very interested in that site. One of them went as far as saying that they were very interested, but the building wasn't big enough. Well, she's already gone forward and talked to the builder that built that building out there, and he has told her that enlarging our existing building would not be a problem. So hopefully that'll keep that person or that business on the hook, and hopefully we'll have some positive results based on that conversation I had with her. And just for general knowledge, it's not Nash County, but it's Edgecombe County, which will probably, as far as jobs are concerned, will affect us here in Nashville, in Nash County. the tire company are on schedule. The budget the money has already been earmarked for that project. And they expect to be up and running with phase one by April 2020. And phase one is gonna be the light truck and car tire manufacturing. And then the big truck thing will come in phase two. But they expect phase one to be up and running by April of 2020. So hopefully that will spur other businesses to come. And it could encourage somebody to even look at some of our buildings here in Nashville. But, that was a good bit of information. And they are saying that the tire company is gonna be one of the premier tire manufacturing plants in the United States. So they're moving full speed ahead on that, so hopefully we'll see some positive results from that in the very near future.
Well, did you get any opinion on how many people they're going to employ? Last time I talked with them, which had been about 6 months ago, the planners behind that thing had reduced the amount of employment by mechanizing parts of the plant. Has that number, the original employed like 800 people in the first phase, but they reduced that through mechanization somewhat, but not a substantial number. Has that number
It's not listed here, Mayor.
got solidified yet? Okay,
It's not listed here.
okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Taylor?
I don't have anything exciting to tell my colleague over here, but I will say this. As I said earlier, I've been out of town for a couple of weeks and done quite a bit of traveling. Seen a lot of pretty sights, but nothing as pretty as the town of Nashville, North Carolina sign when it came into view.
All right.
I'm proud to be here and proud of our citizens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're home safe.
Thank you.
Ms. Hinton?
Oh, yes, there was an article in the Evening Telegram about Chief Bayshore today. Chief, I wonder if you could come up and tell us more about the plans you have for the toolbox in reference to the League of Municipalities.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. The North Carolina League of Municipalities came by our office about 3 or 4 months ago and did some filming. And so what they were doing was following the county's lead that they did about 6 or 8 months ago to put out a toolbox to deal with the opioid epidemic. And so that'll go out to all 458 municipalities. So it was, they came and interviewed us, and they did Waynesville as well to kind of highlight the HOPE initiative and the LEAD program out in Waynesville.
What's in the toolbox?
So it'll be videos and then resource lists, things that municipalities can do to support the citizens that they have in their communities in getting into treatment and finding recovery, keeping them out of the criminal justice system as well.
Have you got any reports yet on how your silent auction went last night?
I believe it was about 1,700, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it was a good little turnout we had.
Okay. I haven't been contacted yet, so I must not have bought what.
a couple, yes, sir.
I did? Oh, okay. Okay. Kate?
I just wanted to echo the comments earlier about the potential hit that we had for Hurricane Florence and just how prepared the police department and the fire department were. It was really an amazing job that you all did, and we're very appreciative of it. And a special thanks to Pete, whose town actually was hit, but he was with us every step of the way, and he was on top of everything, so thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody coming. Next time we'll get the sound working all the time. Okay? All right. All right. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn and for the planning board to take over.
Motion made.
Okay, it's been made and seconded that we adjourn. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate so by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Accordingly, we